What up? It's Famicom again, and here I've got 5 different books that I want to go through today. All of them I have read. I've been doing a couple of manga hauls lately, so I wanted to focus on more stuff that I've actually read over the past couple of weeks. And some of these I read a couple of months ago, but 2 of them are the most recent reads I've had as well. So we've got one by Mogcom, Keiko Fuyumushi, Kashiwai, Nerunodaisuki, and of course, Keizo Miyanishi. So we'll just start off with the most recent read I had, which was this one here. It's titled Oshi no Hada ga Areta, which translates to something along the lines of my Oshi, which is like my favorite idol's skin is rough, or coarse, or something along the lines of that. You can see that from the cover art. And this is a short story collection by Mogcom or Mogcom, and I first discovered them from Glaolia. I believe it's Glaolia 1. They have the meeting at Mandarake one shots in there, which pretty good. But yeah, I discovered them from that, which was published by Glacier Bay Books. So I'll just bring this out, some advertising, and this little card here, and the obi. So yeah, this one was my most recent read. It's actually today, at time of recording, and I'll show the insides as well. So the inside cover are all the different characters. Since this is a short story collection, all the different characters that appear in the stories themselves. Love the art style. And this was published in 2022 June, so a more recent collection of works. So overall, we've got a couple of stories. The main story, the titular story, has 3 parts to it, but there are 3 other separate short stories as well. So the first one is titled Naked Mao, which follows this student here who is like in an art class. And I can't really show too much of the story because it's in the title. She gets asked by her teacher to become like a nude model. And there's a secret relationship between the two, which is sort of wholesome. To be honest, when reading this short story collection, there were some stories that were a bit confusing to me as to what tone or mood they were supposed to be. They kept changing around a lot. So yeah, this collection isn't too much of my thing, but I still enjoyed reading it. It was just I was confused all the time. I didn't know what to feel or think just because there were a lot of things going on, and I don't know what emotion was supposed to be put forward at the time. So yeah, so the first one was Naked Mile. This one is the creaking house, which follows a landlord who hears uh, the tenant on the top floor, making lots of noise during the night. You can probably guess what it is. It actually turns out to be quite a wholesome story between the landlord and the tenant, because Mogcom intended, they wrote in the afterword for this that they intended for the story to be told from like a side character's perspective, as they watch the main character. So the main character is the tenant, the side character is the landlord, and she sort of observes the romance of the tenant and her her worries about life, her struggles with school, all that type of stuff. And so it does turn out to be quite a wholesome story as well. This one I liked, and I understood more. But yeah, quite good. The art is amazing. I love the character designs. But this one was quite the wholesome story. And also, the story that was in Glaolia 1, meeting at Mandarake isn't in this tankobon. It's it was published originally as a doujinshi, I think. So just as like a separate self-published thing. The art's amazing. Yeah, I'll move on to because this is a couple of different stories. Um, the main story, the titular story for this series is following essentially this artist, this student, and her Oshi, which is an idol she adores. Um, the student loves to draw fan arts of her Oshi, like this, for example. And over time, she gets more and more invested. We learn why she loves to draw her Oshi, but it's a very interesting story because, as the title suggests of the story, the idol has some skin issue, and I believe it's called atopic dermatitis, which the student also has. So it sort of brings up this debate, not debate, a very interesting topic as to the perceptions of physical conditions like dermatitis. So the student wants to portray the idol in, her most raw image, which meant that she drew the idol with her skin issues as well, but the idol had a sort of mixed reaction to that, and it's sort of back and forth, like who was right. Is the idol justified in hating Mayu for her depiction of her skin, or was Mayu, was Mayu doing just what she thought was right by being comfortable with portraying that skin condition? So it's quite an interesting story. It did flip around like back and forth in terms of the atmosphere again, but quite an interesting topic to think about. I only read this today, so I'm still thinking about it. But yeah, overall, a pretty entertaining read, but it wasn't my thing, to be honest. But if Mogcom releases more Tanglebonds, I will actually gladly pick them up because I just love their art style. So yeah, that was the most recent read I had. Let me just put it away. The next I have, so before that Mogcom story, I had read this story by Kashiwai titled Communications from Room 107. I bought this a while ago and I haven't touched it till now, but what's really cool about this is that the entire tankobon is in color. Every single page is in color, which is amazing. And it's another short story collection, but this time there's a lot more stories split into four different themes. So I believe there's like plants, forgot what that one was, memories, and space or the universe. So some of the short stories only range from they range from like 4 pages to 20 pages. So there's a lot more in here, but quite beautiful pages, double spreads from this. And pretty much they deal with the everyday, both the everyday and magical realism as well, and a lot of beautiful panels and frames too. This one is titled Park Koen. One of my favorite uh, artworks in this whole book is just of these two friends sitting under like a jungle gym and having the light sort of make these shadow patterns on them. Super good stuff. But yeah, it's the in terms of the mood of the stories, none of them are wholly like depressing or anything per se. Some of them are quite sad, but I would describe all of them as being very gentle. No matter the theme, no matter the topic or concept that is explored. This one, for example, is there's this room where people can go in to call like loved ones passed away, loved ones who have passed away, There's other stuff about a room having a window into like every type of scenery. But no matter the topic, all of them are quite gentle, quite subtle in the way they're portrayed. And again, some of them are just, 4 pages. So they're not very long. But still, when I was reading it at least, all of them left me in a sort of wonder and awe. Most of them have something to do with nature as well. A lot of natural imagery. Great paneling. This one here is titled Layers. It's about this girl here who can't seem to figure out what used to be in this vacant plot of land. So she flips through her memory, and it's like shown visually as a metaphor of peeling back layers, which is really cool. But yeah, great stuff from Kashiwai. Kashiwai has done a couple more tankobons as well. Which, I do need to check as well. This was, I don't know when that year is, but it is a recent year. It's definitely, Kashiwai is a more contemporary mangaka and artist, but they have done more works, serialized more works, and there's a couple more tankobons that I need from them. But I highly recommend for people to pick this one up because even if you don't read Japanese, a full color tankobon is quite rare for manga, to be honest. And just seeing the art is amazing in itself, even without understanding the words. All of it is very gentle. The mood will relax you and get you pensive and reflecting on different things, reflecting on just life in general, family, etc., etc. Yeah, really good read. This one, I think I rated this like a 10 out of 10 because it's like perfect for my taste at least. So yeah, that was Communications from Room 101. Now we're going to flip the switch and go the opposite direction. Keizo Miyanishi, Esther, my very first read from him. And a very, I would say, yeah, it's going to be a bit hard to show some of the artwork, so just bear with me. I'm just going to put this here while I figure out what I can actually show, because I have shown Keizo, I have shown Miyanishi on the channel before, and they do a lot of eroguro, very, very, what's the word? It's, I forgot the word already, but in your face, right? Pretty much in your face artworks with a lot of nudity, so I do have to be careful about what I show. But it's cool because there are some color works in here. For example, this should be fine to show. Amazing color works, super psychedelic at times as well. Like compared to, not all of his works are psychedelic. Some of the tankobons I have, I've just done a flick through of them. Some of them are as psychedelic as this, but some of them veer towards the more familiar type of manga. I couldn't tell you what happened in any of these stories, by the way. A lot of sex, sort of relationships, violence, I guess, that sort of thing. But the art is insanely detailed. I'm slowly building my collection of Miyanishi. He has done, I'll guess, like 7 tankobons out there. He's got 7 maybe, somewhere along that line. And I do have a couple of his. Slowly collecting them all. Extremely graphic, but if you like that sort of stuff, then picking up any Miyanishi work will be perfect for you. But just to keep in mind as well, his works sometimes are hard to find because his tankobons are in demand. Sorry, I'm not showing anything because I'm trying to find something I can show, which is a little bit hard in this book with his style of storytelling. So we'll have to check beforehand. But yeah, his stuff is sometimes hard to find. So keep a lookout. Keep a lookout. Very in demand. Very, very in demand. But well deserved. Well deserved. So yeah, there are. I was just quickly. Oh, I do want to talk about something as well. This surprised me. So there's actually a full English, a whole one shot in here that is fully in English, called Midsummer's Night Dream. Story by Lee Mars, concept and art by Miyanishi. So I don't know who Lee Mars is, but I think I was told by Epic Comics on Instagram a while ago that they did comics. Oh yeah, I'm not too entirely well versed in um, Western comics or anything, but for those who do know them, it'd be pretty cool because yeah, all of it is in English. All of this is in English with some Japanese notes on the side as well. So this was a big surprise, seeing this in the manga. Yeah, this is really cool. I gotta check when this was actually published, though, is the thing. Oh, there you go. Quite a short one, only a couple pages, but not that common seeing a full chapter in English. So yeah, I'll just figure out if there's anything else I can show for the rest of the tankobon, but it looks like I don't think I can. Oh, I can show this one. Yeah, at the back of the tankobon, there's more just purely illustrations and artworks. This one's a really cool one. But the rest of them I can't show because YouTube and it's a bit too graphic. So yeah, and the afterword here. So this was published in 1990, and I think that was a reprint in 1994. Really cool book, and also like the cover itself is a little bit shiny too. Love the colors, the green and orange. Not a combo I see that much, but yeah, highly recommend anyone to pick up some Miyanishi stuff. Okay, moving on next. I have shown this book before on the channel when I was going through Nerunodaisuki on another video, but this is Hyou, my very first book by him, and I got this from Sean at Japan Book Hunter, signed 2019. This was published also in 2019, and they do have a tankobon coming out. Oh, actually no, it's already released. So pick that up from Nerunodaisuki. You can get it on Amazon Japan. That's where I got it. But I'm just going to show other chapters I haven't shown before from the other video. So this is again another short story collections. I do love short story collections in general. But from my memory, the story here, it follows, because all the characters are sort of cats, a cat meeting an anteater scientist who lets him go to hell. I don't remember why, but it's cool because Nerunodaisuki, their art style is very detailed and very dynamic, especially with very simple designs of the cat characters. So if I flip forward a little more, we can see more. Yeah, so they sort of visit hell, or they see monsters from hell. All these different designs, super cool. I believe I have shown this, but it's probably my favorite part of the book. Just pages upon pages of seeing different cool monster designs. And seems like one of them escaped into real world. Well, not real world, or just Earth, I guess. I think this one was a really weird one as well. No, not this one, sorry. There was another one, which I do want to find. Okay, this one was really weird. I don't know what was going on in this one. It was very entertaining to read. Just a giant blob creature in the middle of a field with pasture that charges them, comedically knocks one of the characters out. but it turns a little insane when they go to seek help. They try to figure out how to exorcise, I guess, this demon thing, this giant blob. And as they try to do it, they get spotted. And the creature starts to attack them. Honestly, really scary. I've always been like creeped out by this face you see sometimes on face like drawn onto different things like scarecrows and stuff. But it destroys the house, turns it into dust. They manage to escape. But there's a scene where it grows arms and legs and a set of very sharp teeth. It was crazy. Starts chomping down on things, but they do manage to exercise it in the end and capture it in this sort of seal. So that was crazy. But yeah, sometimes it is quite comedic throughout some of the stories as well. You can see facial expressions becoming extremely detailed, which is funny compared and contrasted to the simple facial expressions of the other characters too. Very wacky and weird stories, but you like that sort of stuff, then definitely pick this up. Nerunodaisuki was also in, I think, Glaiolia, maybe two. I think Glaiolia 2 and Kus, the Japan issue as well. The Japan issue, of course, was where I actually found it for the first time. I've shown Kush on the channel before, but yeah, great stuff from Nerunodaisuki. There you go. So this one I read maybe a couple months ago, but highly recommend this one, and highly recommend anyone interested in Nerunodaisuki to pick up his newest work, which was only released like from this date, a couple of weeks ago only, so quite recent. So now, the last book that I have to showcase is yet another short story collection. This time by Kaiko Fuyumushi, titled "Bad Candy You Give Me." In Japanese, it is Kimi no Kureru Mazui Ame. And on the cover, we have all these different characters who appear in the story. All of these appear. So, I read this earlier this year, and Fuyumushi has become one of my favorite mangaka of all time. The titular story is only a couple of pages. It's of two girls who one offers candy to the other, and because she likes her, she accepts it, despite the candy being quite not to her taste. That's a very wholesome story. So in this short story collection, it is a combination between wholesome stories and quite serious or sad stories, and a lot of them include magical realism, which is my type of thing, especially. So the first story I do want to show is this one here, which I believe is titled "Survival of the Fittest," which follows a girl and her friend who has turned into a mermaid, but not just any mermaid. These mermaids are like carnivorous, and they're killers, so it's a bit of an issue. But we get a flashback on to the very first moment she had seen her friend grow gills, that sort of thing. And over the course of the chapter, we just see over time how they've managed, how she's been feeding her fish flakes, and then eventually the school's pet goldfishes, all that type of stuff. But it comes to a point where the friend, she believes that killing her mermaid friend is the the only thing that can save her, because there's no way for her to be turned back, and she can't just keep living in the school pool. So when she does go to feed the mermaid one last time, she goes and tries to kill her. But the mermaid reacts and brings her underwater and kills her instead. And we get a reveal of the teacher who had been observing being exactly the same, another mermaid as well. So a little bit of a plot twist there. That was a really cool one. But the art style is it complements the style of storytelling that Fuyumushi has a lot. The story is about another girl and her friend who had died, but instead of dying, they transformed into this little blob thing that she keeps in her house, in her room. And it is quite sad, but there is a bittersweet ending to this one too, where there's a metamorphosis. Great stuff as well. I think out of the entire short story collection, this one hit me the most. This is titled Mother and Daughter. And we start off with the daughter at her mother's funeral. But essentially, it's a story that focuses on the dread of realizing that you've become your parents. So in this case, the mother wasn't a great parent, extremely strict, didn't really give the daughter any freedom. But over the course of the story, we see this like null mask representing, I believe, that what's it called? That manifestation of her parents, her mother's behaviors. And it is quite a hard-hitting one, especially when she does finally realize that, through an interaction with her sister, that she has begun to pick up traits, very toxic traits from her mother, and it's represented through her seeing this null mask on her face. Yeah, very. Oh, that was a hard hitting, probably the most hard hitting out of the entire story for me. And I'll show one last one, which is the coolest, I think, in terms of execution. This is titled Sets in the West, and it is, well, I won't explain what story it is because even without the text, it should be self-explanatory. So we wake up with, we start off with a girl waking up in a bath and seeing a clone of herself or a copy of herself looking back at her holding a tub of acid. And so she defends herself by choking her out, regains her clothes, and starts to wonder why. Well, what is happening? Why is a clone of herself trying to kill her? So she goes to sleep, has a nightmare, and once she wakes up, she realizes that there can only be one of her. She has to kill the other one, but the clone wakes up and chokes her, and the cycle repeats again. So this story here was a time loop story. So pretty much we're starting off with, there's only two people in this case. We don't know who the real person is, but two duplicates. One of them is already in the bath and one of them is trying to kill the other, and essentially it just keeps going in a loop between the two. One wakes up as the other tries to kill them, and the cycle continues. So that was the Fuyumushi short story collection. Highly recommend this one if you love magical realism and stories on the more serious side. Short stories on the more serious side that tug on your heartstrings. But yeah, Fuyumushi has become one of my favorite manga of all time. So highly recommend this one. But yeah, so that was 5 books, I believe. Yeah, 5 reads for this video. Some of them, or most of them, were recent. Some of them were a couple months old in terms of when I read them. But yeah, we're leaning more towards the contemporary side of manga. They're more recent, 2019, 2020, that sort of stuff. Except Miyanishi is the only exception to that, 1990. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this one. I'll be back with more stuff in the next video. Bye.